Я начал запись. Okay, so I will explain what I did to add our source code to the Git repository. I already had a Git initialized in the folder. I have the source code here. So I required to merge the files from the Git repository with my own files. For this I used the, so at first if start from scratch, so at first I run the git init command that initialized repository under my folder. And then I added GitHub repository as a remote with git remote add command. GitHub URL and name of the name of this remote I add. Then I merged what you have on the GitHub, so it was only one README file, this one, but it has to be merged at first, and I did so. I had some changes, uncommitted changes, so before merge I use git stash command to save the current state. Then I did git pull from the origin. It was pulled the README file, and after all I use git stash apply to revert all my changes. So there are some files that is not under the Git repository. This is a compiled Python code that should not be added to the repository itself. And for these files I have listing from in the gitignore file, the file that lists all the files and folders that should be ignored. And you know, I don't understand why I see now these files under the Git, because they should not be listed here. Okay, I'm not a Git expert. I just do some easy things and usually look at the Git documentation when need to do some more complex things like merging between different branches. So I'm not sure I can teach some interesting things here. So let me explain what I added to the gitignore here for the Django project. So at first the D folder is the folder with the virtual environment. I also added two files, a file and a folder from the .idea folder. This is where PyCharm, JetBrains PyCharm files are stored. And some of them are useful for the project and some of them are not. So workspace.xml is not required because it saves the current state of the IDE desktop, and also libraries is updated locally. It is also not required. This is why I added these two files. And I also added db.sqlite file because we don't need one under the repository. It's just a temporary. So I think that's all, and all other files are under the Git repository. Okay. And after all, after merge and after commits all the changes I did locally, I execute git push and send all the commits to the Git repository. So now we have 5 commits here. If tell about the correct organization of the Git repository for some large projects, it's better to use forks, as you can see in many open source projects, and GitHub provides pretty good functionality to work with the pull requests and forks around the different repositories from different users. But for the beginning I didn't start with forks here, so I commit just into the master. It is not good way, I can say, but it's easiest one. And later I think we will reorganize our repository to work as it usually go on a GitHub, to work with the pull request, etc. I think we can do this after I add some tests, and we can also set up some continuous integration tool to run all the unit tests before commits, and we will see how it helps us to keep our project in the alive state, the master folder. Okay, so it is all for today.